The Zahir by Paulo Coelho. Read by Jamie Glover. Her name is Esther. She is a war correspondent who has just returned from Iraq because of the imminent invasion of that country. She is 30 years old, married, without children. He is an unidentified male, between 23 and 25 years old, with dark Mongolian features. The two were last seen in a cafe in Rue Faubourg Saint-Honoré. The police were told that they had met before, although no one knew how often. Esther had always said that the man, who concealed his true identity behind the name Mikhail, was someone very important, although she had never explained whether he was important for her career as a journalist or for her as a woman. The police began a formal investigation. Various theories were put forward: kidnapping, blackmail, a kidnapping that had ended in murder, none of which were beyond the bounds of possibility given that, in her search for information, her work brought her into frequent contact with people who had links with terrorist cells. They discovered that in the weeks prior to her disappearance, regular sums of money had been withdrawn from her bank account. Those in charge of the investigation felt that these could have been payments made for information. She had taken no change of clothes with her, but her passport was nowhere to be found. He is a stranger, very young, with no police record, with no clue as to his identity. She is Esther, 30 years old, the winner of 2 international prizes for journalism, and married. My wife. I immediately come under suspicion because I refused to say where I was on the day she disappeared. However, a prison officer has just opened the door of my cell, saying that I'm a free man. And why am I a free man? Because a woman, another journalist, a friend of my wife and divorced, which is why she doesn't mind revealing that she slept with me, provided proof that I was with her on the day and the night of Esther's disappearance. I talk to the chief inspector, who returns my belongings and offers his apologies. I ask, isn't it possible that something really has happened to my wife, given her vast network of contacts in the terrorist underworld? The inspector changes the subject. Do you think she left you because of that woman you've been sleeping with? That's none of your business, I reply. The inspector says that he is very sorry about my wife's disappearance. He is married himself, and although he doesn't like my books, he can put himself in my shoes and imagine what I must be going through. I ask him what I should do next. He gives me his card and asks me to get in touch if I hear anything. He asks me if I've ever met the person who was with Esther the last time she was seen alive. I say that I knew his code name, but didn't know him personally. He asks if we have any domestic problems. I say that we've been together for 10 years and have the same problems most married couples have. Nothing more. He asks delicately if we have discussed divorce recently, or if my wife was considering leaving me. I say again that, like all couples, we have our occasional disagreements. He asks still more delicately if she suspected that I was having an affair with her friend. I tell him that it was the first and last time that her friend and I had slept together. It wasn't an affair. It came about simply because it had been a bit of a dull day. Neither of us had any pressing engagements after lunch, and the game of seduction always adds a little zest to life. You go to bed with someone just because it's a bit of a dull day? Sometimes, yes. There's nothing else very interesting to do. The woman is looking for excitement, I'm looking for adventure. Next day, you both pretend that nothing happened and life goes on. He holds out his hand and says that in his world, things aren't quite like that. Naturally, boredom and tedium exist, as does the desire to go to bed with someone, but no one ever acts on their desires. Perhaps artists have more freedom, he remarks. I say that I have no wish to enter into comparison between our different views of society and people. Speaking of freedom, he says, disappointed, you're free to go. I'm free. I'm rich, famous, and if Esther really has left me, I'll soon find someone to replace her. I'm free. Independent. But what is freedom? Ever since I was a child, I have fought to make freedom my most precious commodity. I fought with my parents, who wanted me to be an engineer.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?